Hello everyone. Good morning. Welcome to Technical Router. Today let us discuss about the methods in Java. Let us discuss what are methods, how to create a method, what is the syntax of method, how to declare a method, and some examples on these methods. First, what is method? A method, it is a block of code. It is a block of code. It is used to perform a logical task. Use it to perform logical task are called as a methods. It is a block of code. A methods are a block of code that are used to perform a logical task. Let us see what is syntax of method. Syntax of method. This is an access modifier followed by return type, method name, open and close parenthesis, open and close braces. Within this open and closed braces, what are the we are there, that is called as a method body. Within this open and closed is it, that is an you're going to perform here in this logic of an program. You're going to perform here logic of program, that is also called as a method body. Within this open and closed braces, whatever you write the code, that is called as a method body. First is an access modifier. I already told you that that access modifier can be an public, private, default, or protected. But mainly we are using now is a public. Later parts I'll explain about private, protected, and all. Now return type. Return type we are going to use it, that can be in primitive or non-primitive or void type. In primitive there are 7 to 8, and non-primitive strings and void type. Void means that it does not return anything. And method name. Method name, it is a programmer choice. Within this we can have a data type or value. Data type followed by variable. Second data type followed by variable 2, and so on until we can have a maximum 4. It is allowed. Maximum 4 data types within variables are allowed. These are called as a parameters. These are all parameters. Within this parenthesis, whatever we write it, because it is defining, we are not initializing any values for these variables. We are not going to initialize any values within this method. So for that reason it is called as a parameters. These are called as a parameters. And these data types can be in primitive or non-primitives. Inside this we are going to perform a logic of the program. This is also called as a method signature. This method name is also called as a method signature. Let's see how to create a method. How to create a method. Within the class, we are going to write a program. That is, we are going to create a method within the class only. The first is an access modifier. First is an access modifier. I told you that we are going to take a public and then return type followed by a return type. I told you that we are going to take a return type as a primitive, non-primitive, or a void type. I'm going to take a void type that does not return anything. Void type means it does not return anything. Method name. Method name I'm taking programmer default. I'm taking a fun. I'm not taking any parameters within the parenthesis. I'm not taking, it is an empty parameter. Empty parenthesis. In this, I'm going to perform some logic of the program. I'm going to print hello, welcome to Java program. I return here. See, within the method, I return a print statement. That is, I'm doing a logic of the program. If I execute now, I don't get any output. See, I'm not getting any output because there is no main method. There is no main method. We know that the program, Java program execution starts from the main method only. It starts from main method. Going to call and main. Now, if now I execute also, we won't get any output because it starts. We know that the Java execution starts from the main method. Within these braces, did we wrote anything? No, we did not wrote anything. There is an empty. We did not write anything. It starts from the main method execution. It starts from here only. So to to run this print statement, we are going to create an object for this class, and we are going to call this method by creating an object. After that, by using an object reference, we are going to call this fun method. See, I'm going to create an object. St is equals to new list by using an object reference. Object reference is empty. I'm going to call that method. It is a fun method. Call that method. When you create an object, it will go. You see, object reference of fun method will go here. Whatever the data is there in the fun method, it is going to print that. Now I'll get output. See, welcome to Java program. Hello, welcome to Java program. I got the output now. In this way, we are going to create an method. Access modifier, return type, and method name. I can add some parameters also inside this. I'm going to add int a comma int b. In the previous slide, I told you that within the parameter we can only define. But we can't initialize. We can't be able to initialize. So we can call this as an variables. Int a is a variable and int b is a variable. But it is within the parenthesis. Because it is within the parenthesis, because of that reason, we are going to call this as a parameter, because we are not initialize anything. We're not initialized for an a and b. So for that reason, we are going to call this as a parameters. Int a value is 10, b is 20. See, I called a fun method. Before that, the fun method does not contain any parameters. Before that, now it is containing two parameters, that is an int a and b. Containing two parameters. So that are in the main method, I have given a value for those parameters. This data type is an int for two parameters. So I given a value in the int format. Now let us see how to declare a method. Method declaration. Method declaration. The first point. The first point is an declare a method. Declare a method m1, comma, which takes no input. The method 1 which does not takes any input and return no output. Does not return any output in class A. This is a first method declaration with. Let us take one class. I'll take the class as in 1. I taken one class as in 1. In the first point say that take and method 1, declare and method 1. It does not take any input and does not return any output. Noted. Access modifier, return type. Return type I have to use does not return anything. So I am going to use a void type. Void means that does not return anything. It does not return anything. Void that does not return anything. And method m1, no input. See here, I am not taking any input in this. So this is an example for the first one. They declare and method m1 which does not take any input and does not return any output. So this is an method m1. This is a method name. This is a method name. It is an m1. It does not taking any input and does not return any output. It does not returning any output. So I'm going to use a return type as a void type. If the output does not return anything, so on that time we are going to use a void type. Void return type does not return anything. Second one. Second one is a declare ensure method M2 in same class, in the same class that which takes no input and it's written in value. The second point says that within the same class M2, we are going to declare a method M2 within the same class which does not take any input. Does not take any input. That method M2 does not take any input and it returns an int value which returns int value. For that, within the same class, I'm going to take another method, access modifier. So in that, we are saying that it returns int value. It returns int value. On that time, I'm going to use an int. It returns int value M2 and does not take any input. See this. It does not taking any input. Does not take any input and returns as an it returns an int. It returns int value, which returns an int value. So we have to add a return statement. So in the explanation of syntax, I have told you that the return type can be any primitive and non-primitive or void type. Here we are going to return as an int. So method 2, they are declaring as an method 2 does not take any input and return an int value. It returns an int value and does not taking any input. This is an second one. The third one. That one is a declare and method. Declare method M3 which take string and boolean input and return no value in class B. Take one more class B. In class B, declare an method M3 which takes an inputs as a string and a boolean. In the previously does not takes any input. The first one does not take any input and does not return anything. The second one it does not taking any input. The method 2 it does not taking, it is an empty parameter. See, empty parenthesis. I taken only method name, there is no anything in the parenthesis. It does not take any input and returning an int output. It's an int as an output. Int means non-decimal numbers. Third one says declare an method M3 which takes an boolean and a string as an input and does not return any output in class B. So public return type means return type we are going to take an void because it does not return any value. Void type M3 method name which takes in an input as a string and boolean. String S, comma, boolean B. This is a third one. In this way also we can declare a method that is and it taking an input as a string and boolean. It does not return. If you know it does not return anything means we are going to use a void type. If return some integer or an floating point values. For integer we are going to use an int. For floating point value going to float. For string values we are going to use a string. The fourth one. The fourth one is an declare the method M4 in same class which take int input. It is taking as an int as an input and It's a return character. It's taking as int as an input. It is taking int. That is my input means that you're going to write it in a parameter. It is going to write a parameter within the parenthesis. And return an character. The word place we are going to use an char. Within the same class, it's written and char as an output. Char M4 method name. It's taking as an input. Int A. If you're taking an primitive or non-primitive types of return type, we are going to add a return type here. You have to add a return type. Return A. These are the ways we are going to declare and methods. It takes and does not take any input, does not return anything. It does not take any input, which returns some value. Second way. Third way, which taking an input and does not return anything. In fourth way, it's taking an input and returning some output also, but differently. In these ways, we are going to declare and methods. These are the method declaration. In the four ways, we are going to declare a method. So let us see one example for this. I'm going to take the Java program to print the area of the rectangle. We know that the formula of an area of an rectangle is an length into breadth. Formula of a rectangle is a length into breadth. That means it is taking in two inputs, right? This area of rectangle is taking in two inputs. Length is one input and then breadth is one input. And let us we can take as an data type for an length and breadth. We can take int for a non-decimal number and float for a decimal numbers. And these both, if you are taking in both of them as an int means it's written in the output in the int format only, or int float means floating point value going to return in the output. If both are float means floating point only. So I taken one a class, that rectangle class. Within that we are going to write a method public. I'm going to use a primitive type. Let us take an output in the form of floating point value. For that, we are going to use a float. Float method name as a getRect. So in the input, I told you area of rectangle is a formula is a length into breadth. So we needed two input. Within that, two inputs has a floating point only. Load L, comma, load B in the braces. So I told you that if it is return type is a primitive or non-primitive, we should add a return statement. For that only it is showing an error. First, let us do the logic, that is an length into breadth. The formula of a rectangle is length into breadth. Let us do in the float only. So return type is a float, float R. Return R. See, to print an area of a rectangle, we have a formula that is a length into breadth. I'm taking a floating point as a return type, so I'm taking input as also in a floating point only. So I return here. We are going to access it in the main method, so we have to create an object for the rectangle class. Rectangle RE is equals to new rectangle. So by using an object reference, we are going to call that method re dot. That method name is a get rect with floating point values of L and B. Two parameters, that is in float L and float B. Get rect here is there. Get rect. So it is taking in two values, that is in floating point values 4.5F. I told you that it is in floating point value mean, that is in decimal numbers mean we have to add F. If I'm going to take only 4, no need to add an F. It is an optional. If it is a floating point number, a decimal number, we have to add an F. It's mandatory. 5.5 F. We have called this method. Let us store these in some variable with an return type as in float only. Float result. Let's print that. To print, we are going to use a print statement. Hmm. This is a logic of the program. See now. See, I got the output. This is the simplest way also to write the program, because I'm using in other class with the method taking here, because to create an object. By creating an object in this way also you can write, or without creating like this, without using this method, we can take in the main method only and two variables, and we can perform the logic of the that area of rectangle and print it down that. In this way we are going to print the area of the rectangle output. These are about the methods in Java. Is a one program. Remaining there are lots of programs also right there. You can try some of them. I'm going to end here, guys. If you like this my teaching, please share and subscribe our channel.